Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Warren Faulk. I'm the Camden County Prosecutor. And with me this afternoon are, to my far left, Howard Guilford, who is the Chief Prosecutor of our Homicide Unit, Tim Chatton, who is the Chief Prosecutor of our Juvenile Unit, Acting Chief of Investigators Mark Nicholas, Captain Willie Mahan, who is to my far right, and Captain Ron Moten, who is also an investigator, head of investigators here in this office. This afternoon at approximately 12:30, 16-year-old Justin Robinson pleaded guilty to aggravated manslaughter in connection with the October 20th, 2012 death of Autumn Pasquale in Clayton, New Jersey. The plea carries a 17-year sentence and requires that he serve at least 85% of that time before he is eligible for parole. Robinson admitted in Superior Court that he choked Autumn to death in the basement of his home. He also, in his plea, took sole responsibility for her murder. Robinson pleaded as an adult and will serve adult time. He agreed this morning before Judge Colleen Mayer of the Juvenile Court in Gloucester County to waive juvenile court jurisdiction and went immediately from that court to Superior Court before Judge Walter Marshall, the presiding criminal judge, to enter his plea. As you know, there is another juvenile who's also charged in connection with Autumn's killing, and that case is still pending in juvenile court. Because of that ongoing juvenile court proceeding and the confidentiality that attaches to it, as well as a court order, I must be somewhat circumspect in my comments today and maybe in any questions that you might have. There are 3 points I'd like to make with regard to this plea agreement and resolution that was entered into today. First, because of Robinson's age at the time of the killing, he was only 15 years old. This was not an automatic waiver. The court had to decide whether he could be rehabilitated in the juvenile court system or whether he should be waived to adult court. In that case, there would have been, in the case of a waiver hearing, there would have been evidence presented with regard to his diminished capacity and other issues that may have made waiver difficult. If the judge denied waiver and he was either to plead or was convicted in juvenile court, the maximum sentence he could receive would be 20 years in the juvenile system, and he would have parole eligibility after 1/3 of that sentence was served, or somewhat less than 7 years. In our opinion, the nature of the crime demanded that Justin Robinson be sentenced as an adult and face adult penalties. Second, the evidence in this case was solely circumstantial. There were limited forensics available, and while the evidence strongly pointed to the fact that Autumn Pasquale was murdered in the Robinson home, there was difficulty proving who exactly was her murderer. Proving Justin Robinson's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt without his admission in court today that he was her killer would have been difficult. Finally, I want to make it clear that throughout this entire process, Autumn's family has been kept informed by this office each step of the way, and they understand the rationale behind this plea that was entered today. Autumn's death is an unthinkable tragedy for her family, and we are grateful for their cooperation and their strength in this case, which has been ongoing since her death last October. Autumn's death was senseless, and it shook the community to its core. There will never be punishment commensurate with her brutal killing. The best we can do is achieve some measure of justice. Like all our prosecutions, the facts and circumstance and evidence admissible in court define how we resolve a case. Given the admissible evidence and the facts of this case, we believe the agreement that was reached today is fair, equitable, and in the interest of justice. I'll now take any questions that you have. Yes?
Can you talk about a motive for the slaying?
He did not give a motive in his plea allocution before Judge Marshall today, so no, I can't.
Do you believe that he was solely responsible, or will you still be seeking murder charges on the other boy?
I can't comment on the remaining boy who is in juvenile court because of the court order as well as the confidentiality of the juvenile court proceedings, unfortunately.
Prosecutor, was there no scientific evidence? Talk to us about what this means with regard to the fact that you just said it was based on circumstantial evidence only, and does this help?
There was plenty of forensic evidence to indicate that she was present in the house, that she died in the house, but there was very limited forensic evidence with regard to who her killer was. And none of it was significant enough to point the finger at any one individual.
Prosecutor, did the family agree with this plea deal? Were they consulted
They were consulted on a number of occasions. We had a consultation with them this morning, again, down in the courthouse. The two assistant prosecutors met with them as well as our victim witness people, and there were at least about 25 members of the family present for his plea in Superior Court before Judge Marshall.
Can you share with us any of their reaction?
Jason has information. They are each side of the family are represented by counsel, and they asked that if there are any questions with regard to that, that you contact their respective attorneys. And I think you probably have the numbers, but Jason can give it to you if you need it.
So you can't say whether Justin's admission of guilt changes your case toward the other, toward his brother at all, or if it would change how a juvenile court judge might view the case?
I can't comment on that because of the restrictions that are in place, yes.
Do you believe he was solely responsible?
He said so today in open court, and he was under oath, and I accept him at his word.
Prosecutor, you said you couldn't talk about the motive for the killing. Could you talk at all about the motive in drawing Autumn into the home after some discussion over this BMX bicycle?
There were a lot of the texts between Autumn and Justin, I think, have been in the media, and that apparently was what drew her to the home. That we have no evidence that there was anything else other than those text messages. They may have had a conversation, but we're not aware of it.
Anything else, guys? Thanks for coming.
Yeah, well, just in closing, I also want to thank, we had our homicide investigators who were thoroughly involved in this case after it was transferred to this office from Gloucester County. And they did an outstanding job following up on the investigation. And I also should point out that the investigation done by the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office and the local police in Gloucester County was outstanding and helped to reach this conclusion. So it's not just this office. We just happen to be appointed by the Attorney General's office to take this over when the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office was no longer able to handle it. But I want to acknowledge the work that was done in Gloucester County by the local police and the Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office, as well as our homicide investigators in this case.
May I ask one more question? I'm sorry, I know you're wrapping up, but you said he admitted that he choked her, but did she die of blunt force trauma to her head?
No, she died of strangulation.
And is there a date set for the brother? Right
No,
about
the, not that I'm aware of at this point. There is a date set for sentencing. I believe it's in the handout that Jason gave you. Anything else? All right, thank you for coming.